Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. All right, man, I appreciate you guys very much for showing up for me. So I did go ahead and grab another game between Wesley So and Faustino Oro. We still have one more day until the Speed Chess Championship resumes. So I figured I'd grab me another one of these games. I appreciate everybody very much for watching my video yesterday, so click on this one too. But yeah, this is just another game they played that same day. So all my people in the Philippines, I would say maraming salamat. Anybody who is coming from Argentina, I would say muchas gracias. But we're going to see what the youngster has this time around. So let's take a look. All right, so we got D4. We got knight to F6. Starts with the Indian game. Very classical. We do see C4. This is by far going to be the biggest way that we play after D4, knight F6. We got the move C6. We got bishop F4, and we have the move D5. And we have gotten into a Slav. I know a couple people that like the Slav just because. But it is interesting because after E3, we kind of have like a queen's pawn opening, like accelerated London situation. So it's kind of like a Slavy London. You guys are familiar with this if you do play the London as white. But we kind of do have this C4 move instead of C3. So it's just a little bit different. We do see the move E6. We got knight up to C3. Bishop goes to D6. And then we have a very common idea. I have seen it too many times as black. And I used to like super lose like every time to the idea. And it is bishop to G3. We're going to kind of get into it in a couple of moves. We got castles by black. We got knight to F3. We got B6. And we do see queen to C2. And this, I will call this somewhat of a critical point. But this is a good way to kind of illustrate the idea of bishop to G3. Because to me, when I was playing like a while ago, I was like, this is just random. Like, why does everybody in the world do the bishop to G3 thing? Like, it's weird. And I would lose. We actually see Oro go bishop to B7 in this position here. And that is by far, you know, one of the best ways to play it. Just continuing to develop. And, you know, you don't really preferably want to take on G3. But just to kind of show you guys an illustration, you know, for the idea that is bishop to G3, let's say that the bishop does take on G3. You would be seeing H taking G3. And one of the things that you have done, one of the major things you have done is, yes, I mean, if you look at it from one perspective, you have doubled your pawns, right? But you do have an open, a half-open H file now. So let's just say like black plays kind of lazy, just to illustrate the idea. You would be maybe, let's say like A6, just kind of throwing a move away. You would be looking at G4. This kind of really starts the idea. And let's just make another lazy move. Obviously, these moves are mistakes, but I have to kind of like, you know, do something to kind of illustrate what I'm trying to say. And then you would be seeing the move G5, and it's bye-bye knight. The knight is the only piece that's holding this H7 square, so you basically are going to have to part with the knight. Because as I was telling you guys before, you do have this battery going on right here, and it's just checkmate if you move the knight. So that is pretty much, you know, what white is hoping black does. But of course, Oro is like, bro, I'm not an international master for nothing. So we see bishop to B7, and then we do see rook to D1 by Wesley So, and this is the novelty of the game. Brand new. We do see H6, and H6 is taking care of everything I just previously mentioned. Now we don't have any issues right here. And if bishop takes G3, you got H taking G3. And I mean, it's just kind of just a normal position. We do see the move A3, and now we do see bishop taking G3, pawn taking G3. So, you know, we see Arthur has learned, you know, that idea. And he's like, bro, I'm not playing into that elementary stuff, bro. Like, I'm in 5th grade. We got knight B to D7. We see bishop to E2. Queen goes to E7. And we do see rook to H4. Bro, what are you doing? This is insane. Like, it's not insane, but it's just interesting. Like, you've moved this rook. You've moved this rook. So where's the king going? Is he going to go on vacation? Like, where's he going, bro? He's just going to start shuffling this way or something. He pretty much does that later on in the game. We got rook F to E8. We do see the move G4. You know, we kind of still somewhat have the idea. It's just obviously not as strong in this position. We got knight back to H7. We got pawn taking D5, a pawn taking D5, and we got bishop to D3. So Wesley is pouring on the pressure, hoping that Oro's like, hey, bro, it's time for a nap, and I'm just going to drop my knight, but he doesn't do that, of course. We got knight D back to F8. And one thing I will mention about this position is you kind of got to be a little careful because you do have this rook kind of hanging out here in space. If this knight ever kind of gets inconvenienced and you know, has to move or something, I mean, your rook is kind of sad and lonely, and he's going to get gobbled up pretty quick. So So we got king to f1. Like I said, the king is going to start doing some shuffles. We got rook a to d8. We do see g3. So now that has taken care of the rook chilling on h4. We got bishop back to c8, king up to g2. We got the move f6. We got knight back to e2. We got bishop to d7, and then knight to f4. And something I do kind of want you guys to notice about Black's position is this structure that they have in front of their king. It kind of does have a lot of light square weaknesses. So you really kind of have to, you know, be paying attention to that. As far as like where your knights are placed and where your light square bishop is, because you got to do a little bit of protecting on all of those squares. We got knight going up to g5. We got bishop to f5. Knight takes f3. King takes f3. So this king is being kind of bold. This king is like, bro, I don't care. I'm going to be in the center of the board, bro, for no reason. Like, you know, check me. We got bishop taking f5, and then we have pawn taking f5. And like I was telling you guys before, we do kind of have some light square weaknesses on the black side. So, you know, pawn taking here is just kind of giving us a little bit more control. And it kind of ties black down a little bit because you really don't want to move because knight coming to e6 is going to be kind of nasty. And you are just continuously putting pressure on black's position. We got queen going over to d7, tickling that pawn. We got king down to g2, and we have rook to e4. And this is actually a pretty instructive move because, I mean, you are plugging, you know, the center of the board, and you are now disconnecting this queen from protecting this pawn. So we do see Wesley So go rook to h5, but an honorable mention in this position here is actually just the move g4. You're not really worried about any rook sacrifices right here. I mean, you know, you're good to go. So, you know, you probably would see like knight to h7, rook coming up to d3. Just making sure everything is super solid. This is a very, very nice position for white. But like I said, we don't see that. We got rook to h5. We do see rook sliding over to c8. And we have the move b4. Now, something instructive that I did want to mention in this position right here. So... It's not always the case. Sometimes there's kind of hidden traps and things like that in moves that people play. But, you know, there's a good handful of time where basically a person makes a move and the intent of what they're wanting to try to do with that move is very, very clear. Basically, Oro was saying, hey, bro, you know, I don't have good open files for my rooks and stuff like that. So let me try to prepare the move c5. And so basically rook going over to c8 is showing a clear intent to try to push c5, try to open some lines up. So Wesley So just says, hey, bro, I'm going to go ahead and just, you know, knock that out of the water. We got the move a6. We do see queen to d3, and then we actually see the move b5. Now, the thing about b5 is it's somewhat of a bad positional move because you're kind of shutting everything down and you're creating a really bad weakness on c6. But I will say one of the things, if you are able to kind of get this knight plopped down into c4, you actually can justify creating the weakness. You know, you don't want to allow white to kind of add pressure to this point. Maybe like rook over here. If this rook comes back into civilization, you know, we might see doubling here. And we are threatening that pawn pretty severely. So, you know, stuff like that. We do see queen going down to e2. We got queen over to f7. We do see queen going to g4, just bringing some more attackers on the king side. And we do see knight to a7. And we have actually reached a position. White has a really clever move that they can play right here. If you want to pause the video and try to guess that move, go ahead and do so. Okay, so it's interesting how, I mean, we kind of have a, it's the idea kind of is the same, but it's just a different, you know, piece that we're going to be using. But we do have the same kind of move, similar situation where the queen is pinning down this pawn to the king. And h6 is hanging. I mean, it's just straight up hanging, bro. So if you notice that it's hanging and you want to say, hey, bro, I'm a little hungry, I need a midday snack, you would be looking at rook takes h6. So if you guess this move, I mean, you are just good at understanding pins and hanging pieces. And we do see knight to g5 plugging up this threat. So now our rook is hanging, so we kind of have to do something about that, homie. So Wesley So's like, bro, I like my rooks. I'm gonna go ahead and save it. So we do see rook going up back to h4. We got king going over to f8, which is a game-losing blunder. And we see rook to h8 with check, and it is in this position that Oro resigns the game. You basically have two options. I mean, you're pretty much stalemated. Or you're not stalemated, but you're in a very, very sticky situation if you are the king. you can either go king down to e7, which completely just drops your rook for no reason at all. Or you can move the queen in the way. If you hate your queen, if you're like, bro, I don't like my queen anyway, take the queen. And then you would be looking at this situation here. It's kind of up to you which one you feel like is better. But Oro basically said, I don't feel like going into any of that, so he resigns the game. So Malaka see Wesley So in this one, he was able to get his revenge. Actually, this game was played before the other game. The game that I showed yesterday with Oro, he actually won the last game they played. So they played 8. I think they drew like 3. Wesley So won like 4. And then Oro won like the last one. So he did finally get his revenge at the end of the whole entire series. But all my people in the Philippines, I would say, maraming salamat aking makaibigan po sa nanonood ng aking mga video. Mabuhay to you. Kamusta na aking makaibigan? Kapayapaan sa inyo. I just kind of got that phrase down. So I appreciate you guys very much. Mis amigos, mi gente in Argentina. Muchas gracias para ver mi video en mi YouTube. ¿Cómo está? Estoy bien, gracias. Hasta luego. And Makito tayo mamaya to all my people in the Philippines. And I'll see everybody next time.